Okay, men, we're continuing to take a look at the characteristics of a strong man. We're looking here in 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 2, where David said, I go the way of all the earth. And then he spoke to Solomon and he said, be strong, therefore, and prove yourself a man. One of the ways you prove yourself a man is by your strength. And you know, that may be physical strength, but I don't believe it's just talking about physical strength. You might have big muscles, but that doesn't mean you're a strong man, and that doesn't prove the fact that you're a man. It's the inner strength. It's those things, that strength of character, that strength of conviction that you have that is the true sign of manhood. Now, yeah, you ought to have some muscles, and you ought to be able to do some things, but, you know, a little bit older and maybe don't have the muscles I used to. But you know what? That doesn't change the fact I'm still a strong man. One of the characteristics of a strong man is a strong man leads. He doesn't follow, but I mean, I'm talking about in his home. But he's a leader, but he leads his home. And you say, what does that look like? I mean, that means, listen, man, you say to your family, we're going to church. And you have them follow you. You say to your wife, we're going to church. You say to your kids, get up. And whether they said, well, you know, I was out later, I'm tired. You say, I don't care. You get up, we're going to church. A man leads. A man leads by saying, our family is going to be tithers. And he sits down and tells the family, we're going to tithe. We're going to give God at least 10%. We're going to be givers. A man leads and says to his family, listen, hey, there's a work day at the church. We're all going. And whether they complain or not, you say you get in the car and you straighten up your attitude. We're going to go work in the house of God. A real man leads. You see, many men, they let their wives lead, or they let their kids lead. The kids lead the home, and the kids determine the pace of the home. And you know, right now things are so crazy in our culture that really, and I love kids. I had 7 of them, and they're great kids. But you know, I led my home. I didn't let my kids' agenda lead the home. And I'll tell you, man, I believe that in some form or fashion, we need to set the agenda for our home. There are times I looked at my kids and say, listen, you're not doing that. We got church. I mean, they had sports at times. There were sometimes they had sports on Wednesday, and there are times I said you couldn't go because, listen, we go to church on Wednesday. And I mean, I made them adjust to my leadership. Now, there were some times you might have did a little bit of compromise, but the thing is, I set the agenda for my home. I led my home. Too many weak men let the kids set the agenda, let the wife set the agenda, let all that's going on around them set the agenda. But strong men lead and set the agenda. Many men just step back and, oh, you know, whatever the wife wants, whatever the kids want, whatever, you know, and even whatever the boss wants. Real men lead and set the agenda. Set and look at their week and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Real men lead. Some of you men watching right now, you may have muscles, but you become weak because you don't lead your home, you don't lead your life, you don't set the agenda for your life. And if you're a man of God, you need to set the agenda for your family and say, as for me and my household, we serve God. We go to the house of God. We work in the house of God. We're going to be tithers and givers. Men, if you want to be strong, learn to lead. Pray and ask God how you can begin to take more of a leadership role in your family. And I believe in the end, even if your wife or your kids buck a little bit, they'll be happy that they finally got a strong man in the house.